Hello folks, so welcome back. If you've been following these videos, just thought I'd do another quick update of what's going on with the tank, a few changes. If you're new to tuning into the channel, please hit that subscribe. It's basically my journey from day one on this Sea REEFER 250, and we're 6 months in now. So if you've been following the videos, you'll know of all the problems I've been having and what's been going right, etc, etc. What I'm going to do in this video is just give you an update of what's going on, and I'm going to run through the system as quick as I can from top to bottom of what I've got running and how I'm running it. Just so, because I'm getting a lot of repeat questions on, what lighting schedule you're using, what you're using for phosphate media, what sand size you're using, what make and stuff. So I'm just going to run through the whole system top to bottom at the end of this video. Hopefully I have time and I'll do it in one part as opposed to two parts as I usually do. So yeah, if you've been following, you'll know that I've recently had issues with my heating the tank. I had a large 300 watt digital heater in the sump down here, which failed. So I had to go to the shop and get it sorted, and what they replaced it with was two analog heaters, 300 watt ones, which I put in, and they just didn't work out well. They kept didn't keep the temperature consistent enough, and on these really cold nights kept dropping down too fast. Too much fluctuation in temperature, which I wasn't happy with. So this little TMC digital heater here is just 100 watts. It's set at 25 degrees, so it will come on at 25 degrees if the main heater fails. And I've actually gone and purchased one of those, a proper temperature controller, which is made by Aquamedic, which is really, so far so good. It's been up and running about a week. Yeah, basically it's this little controller computer here. Set the temperature to whatever you want, and it basically controls a heat bar, a titanium heat bar, which I've got down in the sump, which is a 300 watt heat bar. Now, what I didn't realise though is these titanium heat bars, for some reason they don't work on the same sort of usual rule of thumb with wattage with heaters. This tank runs really nice with a 300 watt digital heater, and so I just thought, well, I'll put in a 300 watt heat bar with this controller as well. But the ratings for the titanium heaters are a lot higher. So, for example, they say that the 300 watt one, obviously I realised this after I purchased it, the 300 watt one is aquarium's up to, I think, 500 litres. So it's very powerful. It does get up to temperature very, very quickly. My only fear is that obviously if it fails on, I mean, it's unlikely, but if it did fail on, within the chance I go to check the temperature again, it's sort of, longer than, it's never usually longer than, overnight. I'm always sort of checking the tank, but if I'm ever away for a day or two or something, it could heat the tank up too much. So I'm probably going to go for a lower wattage one, probably the 200. What's nice about this controller though is it's also got you can set alarms up, so if it goes over by whatever you set it by, so you can put it up to 0.1 over what you've set it at, or say a degree. This is set up for 1.2 degrees above or below what I've got it set at. Alarm goes off and notifies you. So that's all good. I highly recommend it to get. If you've got a nice tank like this, again, like I always say, never cheap out on equipment. Obviously just buy the best you can, what you can afford. But on a system like this, why cheap out the 20 quid heater? It's heating of the tank and temperature is a very important key thing. So go for a controller. And this is probably one of the cheapest controllers you can get. I think there is cheaper ones, but you know, ones that's going to work properly and you know, give you good control and stuff. This Aquamatic one was, I think, £45 for the controller. You get the controller and a socket down there. So obviously it's a twin controller, so you've got one side's for heating and the other side's for cooling. You could attach a chiller or cooling fans. So yeah, the controller and that is £45, and the heat bars are cheap. They're about 20 quid, 22 quid for titanium heat bar. So that's the heating hopefully sorted. I'm going to purchase a 200 watt heat bar because I think this one's a little bit too powerful. So that's that. So stuff going on with the tank's starting to look better now, as you can see. The macroalgae and cotton candy issues that have been experienced all over the live rock and stuff. Then Mexican turbo snails have gone to town on it all. There's no pink cotton candy algae in here apart from on the pink hystrix here, which obviously they can't get to. That was a lot more than that about a week ago. It's slowly dying off. I think the coral's fighting it off. So this coral is in quite bad shape at the moment, but it's definitely not dead. It's starting to grow new tips, but its colours looks quite bleached out and stuff. But it is slowly coming back, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with it. I reckon it will come back slowly with the adjustments I've made to the system. Right, nutrient levels. My suspicions are was the tank was running too clean, so what I've done is started sort of feeding heavier, and I've also backed off the skimmer a bit. I was always running it on sort of virtually full power, and now I'm running it sort of just over half. So I've backed off on that, and for the first time ever, I think just after I done my last update, I got a reading of nitrate of 0.5. So I was, yeah, happy to see that, because I want to run the system about that, maybe 1 part per million nitrate. So there's a little bit of nutrients in the water for the corals. And the corals are definitely colouring up better now. This purple stylophora, the camera makes it look a bit white, but it's definitely a deeper purple now than it was. And I think that's the nutrient level going up a little bit is responsible for, you know, getting its colour back, as well as I've raised the lights a little bit. I think it's a little bit too intense in there. So yeah, phosphate's at 0, by the way. So yeah, things are slowly turning round, and the tank's starting to look, the rock looks so much better now. It's being cleaned up by those Mexican turbo snails. Highly recommend them Mexican turbo snails. These atrocious snails, or I've had all sorts of snails, and they wander about and they pick about, but they don't really do any, what I call any real intense cleaning, where if they're feeding on a piece of rock or piece of glass, these Mexican turbo snails, they completely strip it clean and just leave the coralline revealed underneath. Yeah, they really are good. So I've got 3 in here, and they're constantly wandering about, mainly at night. There's one down here. Yeah, mainly at night they do all their work and they're feeding, and every day the tank's looking, or the rock's looking cleaner and cleaner. See this red macroalgae at the top, I would have thought would be the next to get eaten up. It's eaten a lot of that already. This rock here on screen now was really red, hairy. You couldn't really see the rock, and they've munched away on all that. And on this centerpiece here. So yeah, that's good. So coral wise, let's run through the corals quickly. It's only 10 minutes in already. this green Hystrix ceratopora. Unfortunately on the left side here, this branch, I was in there doing maintenance, I've snapped it off, which is annoying. It's just starting to focus, starting to regrow again. Growth is definitely slowed down. Well, it went right down and then it really picked back up again. But it's growing, still growing, but it's just a lot slower now. So the Hystrix, I said, hopefully we'll get that back going, back to health again. It's going to take some time though. I think it's just got to shed off this pink cotton candy algae, and as long as I get the parameters right and the lighting right, it should come back. Elkhorn, Montipora, it's doing great. It slowed down with growth a little bit, but it's, all looking good. If anyone can give me a heads up, that's all, on why the branches on some of these corals are sort of growing downwards as opposed to reaching up. Now obviously I have raised the lights, as we said, and reduced the intensity, so maybe that will help the growth patterns. Someone mentioned at some point about flow, but there's so much flow in here, all different directions. So I don't think it's a flow issue. So if anyone can give me a heads up on why some of the branches on these two particularly are sort of growing down. I would have thought this Elkhorn at the back would just go straight up. It's sort of going out to the side and sometimes curling down a little bit, as you can see on the left there. So yeah, not sure why that is. These two are okay. Stylo's obviously growing upwards, and this barley slimer again growing up, but there's the branch closest to us, that one's sort of going out to the side, so hopefully it'll curl up. Plating Montipora is growing slowly but surely, especially the green side, sort of plating out. GSP is doing really well. Did have a funny 5 minutes, or a funny sort of few days, but seems to all come back nicely now. I can do that sometimes if you disturb them a bit, or you can close in for a few days. And the GSP over this side really growing well. So that is livestock covered. All fish stock doing really well as usual. This mimic tank's getting big, really chunky, really good colour. It's not changed colour at all. Can't wait for it to start changing colour. I would imagine over the next 6 months it will start changing colour. But yeah, it's getting a good size now. It's constantly eating, picking around on the sand and eating diatoms. Still got 8 green chromis. Now if you notice with these green chromis, there's this one here. There's the runt of the litter. We're sort of getting pushed out at night. He's always out the front at night. So if we're going to lose any, it'll be that one first. But it's still got all 8. So they've been in there maybe 4 months or so now. The clowns are doing great. A little bit bigger. So it's taken a while to grow these clowns. I would have thought by now, but they'd be bigger. But they are growing, getting on well. No signs of any mating at all. Yeah, it's fine. All the other fish stock, all fine as usual. Okay, so quick rundown from top to bottom of everything I'm running. Obviously it's a Sea REEFER 250. Great tanks, silent downflow system. Lighting wise, I've gone for Kessel A160 WEs. Now the tank's only 6 months old, so it's very early stages yet, and obviously there's only little coral frags in here, and some of the coral frags are slightly larger, growing into larger colonies, but so far so good. I'll be able to answer the question on what my opinion on the Kessels are for performance wise. you know, better in about 6 months, a year's time. But so far so good, and as you can see, well, you don't really get the effect of the shimmer on video. You know, in real life, looking at it with the naked eye, it's just, the tank looks amazing. The shimmer, it's unrivaled, that shimmer. And the Kessels, the only really the lights that do that. Lighting schedule on them, I'm always changing and experimenting with the lighting schedule. But I mean, at the moment it's just that, zoom on there, 55% colour and 80% intensity. So you can adjust that, and the lights come on at about lunchtime, 12 o'clock, and only on their lowest colour, sort of 5%, and lowest intensity 5%, and slowly ramp up through the colour temperature to 100%. Again, with the intensity, don't go 100%, about sort of, I think it's 70%, 75% on the maximum, and then ramp back down again throughout the whole day till about sort of 10:30 p.m. And then start ramping right down into blue again, and then midnight they go off. If you do go for these Kessels, they're quite expensive. They're about £200 each, but then you have to buy the goosenecks, and a must with them is the controller, which is another £100. So by the time you've done, depends on, you know, what tank you're putting them on, you might only need one, you might need four, whatever. But these lights cost me, I think it was about £550. So they're quite expensive, and obviously for that, at that price point, there is obviously alternatives by AI, Accurate Illuminations, Ecotech Marine, the Radions, but they will not give the effect, the shimmer effect that these Kessels do. But as for performance-wise, I know that the AI Aqua Illuminations, the Hydra 26s and 52s, they do a HD range now, which is a really much improved lighting system from the previous model. So yeah, I mean, if I hadn't have gone for because that's a question I get all the time, you know, would you go for Kessels again? How the Kessels working out? You know, what sort of growth you're getting, etc., etc. Like I say, it's 6 months in, I don't really know yet. So far, so good, but sort of time will tell. So yeah, that's the lighting, the tank lighting. Moving on to flow inside the system. Obviously important to get chaotic, strong flow inside a reef tank. And initially, I was just going to go for this MP10, Vortec MP10. And one J-Boat RW4. It didn't seem like enough flow in there, so I went for this RW8 as well. So I think we're right now for flow. And they're the controllers for the J-Boats down here. It's a great little controller they are. If you're on a budget, they're so cheap. I think the RW4 is I think about £65, and it's about £80 for the RW8. Very powerful, that RW8, good controllability and cheap. And so far, so this I've had running the RW4 for a year. It's been very reliable. Let's just get rid of that. Notifications, clear. Yeah, so that's flow catered for. I mean, the amount of flow I've got is this. The MP10 is 6,000 litres an hour on continuous flow. Obviously, it's on a pulse, so that's running probably 3,000 litres an hour. The RW4 is 4,000 litres an hour on pulse mode. It's probably a couple of thousand, so we're looking at 5,000 litres then. And we've got the RW8, which is 8,000 litres an hour, probably running at 4 because it's in pulse mode. So you look at 4, 6, sort of 9,000 litres an hour in wave machines, and you've got a couple of thousand litres coming out of the return pump, returning back to the tank. So about 10,000, 11,000 litres an hour. during the day. At night, obviously, I turn them all down to their minimum setting, just on idle mode, so it's just nice and calm in there. Obviously, fish, mainly just for the fish to go to sleep. Yeah, it's not good to keep everything on full throttle. So yeah, that's the flow, what's sorting the flow out. So moving down, most of the other stuff is all down in the sump, all the equipment. So running through, just running the Red Sea stock filter socks, which are 200 micron felt. They're proving to be quite well, working quite well. They do clog up quite quick, which I'd prefer that way than the other way, to be honest. I'm having to take them out and replace them and clean them out every 4 days or so that's fine. And then I've gone through the heating, what we're doing for heating at the beginning of the video. Skimmer, Deltec SC1351. This I do rave about. I know in pretty much a lot of my updates I do, and it is really good, this skimmer. Proven Deltec skimmers have been going a long time. This is a DC version, it's SC1351, the DC pump controller. Now I did leave it after 6 months. I thought I'd do a clean, like I said in my previous video, a clean down of all the pumps, and I cleaned the pump on this, did a vinegar dip on it, and it stopped a week later. I thought, oh God, what's going on now? It's jammed again. So I had it out, done the same again, put it all back together fine, and then yesterday it stopped again, third time. What is going on with this pump? So I took it all apart, and I think what it was where the actual propeller and the magnet spins on the ceramic shaft, where it sort of goes, where it sort of seats in the other side. It was just getting caught. It was a little bit stiff on one side. I think it's a bit of carbonate build up on one of the ceramic shafts. So I've cleaned that off and scraped it all off and cleaned it up properly, and it's really nice and loose now. So I don't think we'll have any other issue with that. So time will tell, but yeah, should be fine now for another sort of 3 to 6 months. So the skimmer, it's got so much adjustability, obviously, with the pump controller there, and you've also got obviously the water height adjuster here, so you can adjust it to whatever sort of skim you want to get when you want to get it sort of like this nice and sort of thick foam. So this is about 3 days worth, 2 or 3 days worth. Phosphate removal using a Phosban 150 with the Roa Phos, and I change it out every month. I might extend that to every 6 months, sorry, every 6 weeks, because I've never had a reading of phosphate in this system. I'd like to get it to a tiny bit of trace of it, so I'll sort of back off with changing that so religiously. Sort of go to maybe 5 or 6 weeks as opposed to every 4 weeks on the Roa Phos. Return pump is a Waveline DC4000. That's been really good, very reliable, consistent. So it's only 6 months old, but no issues so far with that. Inside the sump, obviously we've got all our power sockets at the top on switches, and everything's labelled up. I highly recommend doing that as well. Just spend a bit of time organising your electrics, so when you need to switch something off, you can get switched off quickly and isolate it. And you can also see which plugs what by labelling it. And if you need to do any maintenance, I take his devices out, your cables, you know where they are and where they go and stuff. Doser, using TMC's Easy Dose. This has proven to be really good, accurate, reliable so far. And dosing containers by TMC as well. So yeah, I think equipment wise is pretty much covered. Someone asked me about what light I'm using in this cabinet, and so you can put these little orangey strip cheap bulbs from B&Q or whatever in, which are okay, but they do give off a bit of an orange glow, which I don't like. I've actually just put in a cheap LED, strip LED from the fish shop, and bolted it to the top. It's just a 20-watt LED bulb, I think. I don't know if it's 20 watts, 12 watts, something like that, which gives off a nice white glow. Yeah, and on this door here, someone asked me what are all these tables on here. It's just my Salifert test kits: alkalinity, calcium, magnesium and nitrate. So when you're doing a test kit, you just open the door and you can just follow the instructions. I mean, I pretty much know them off by heart by now, but it's easy once you get the colour change to see, read on the syringe exactly on the table what your readings are. It's just handy to have them there. It's supposed to fold it up in the box. So yeah, that's a quick rundown of everything. I'll probably miss something as always. Someone will have a question on something. Inside the tanks, obviously premium Fiji live rock, and the sand is, I get this question a lot, what sand are you using? It's by a company called Reef Flowers, and it's the pearl white, and it's the larger grain size as opposed to the small, because there's lots of flow in here. I'd advise going for the larger grain size, because otherwise it would be blowing about all over the place. Maintenance wise on the tank, I'm running 10% water change every week at the moment, and I'm turkey basting all through the sand and the rocks once a week as well. So that's so far proven to be okay. I've got a nitrate reading of 1 now, which I don't want going any higher, so I've got to keep on top of it now and make sure it doesn't rise. If it does rise, I'll have to either step up the water changes or make sure that I'm cleaning getting all the detritus out in between the rocks, because there's quite a big wall of rock and it does get quite a bit of detritus behind it, which is obviously the main culprit for building up of nitrates. So we're on track. The next stage I think with the tank is just to see, make sure everything stabilises okay and continues to grow. By the way, this little Zoa garden, can't always see properly in this video, but this little Zoa garden is doing well. So I wasn't too fussed with these Zoas, but they're starting to pop up quite nice now, all different colours and stuff. Just from my nano tank, I think I bought 4 or 5 different types. Some red ones in there, all sorts. But as that's growing and the macroalgae is being eaten by those turbos, they're starting to really sort of pop out nice now. Coralline algae is going good. They're starting to regrow again, finally. Like I say, something went out of whack when I did all those, I had to do those water changes to sort of re-levelise anything. And I think it could be maybe a bit of a missing trace element somewhere. So I am going to start dosing Red Sea's coral colours and the Red Sea Nutrition A and B. I'm also going to try Polyp Labs Reeferoids. I've heard good reviews of that stuff, so I'm going to purchase some of that and report back. But yeah, everything's going good. We're 28 minutes in, so I'm going to wrap it up soon, so I've only got a half hour on each upload on these. Obviously, as always, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments box below. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe. I think we're on 1,200 subscribers now, which is amazing. So yeah, anything I can help you with, and any questions, just put them in the box below. So thanks for watching, folks, and happy reefing. See you again. Bye.